Today we're going to be talking about The Bear Season 3 review. Great show on FX, starring Jeremy Allen White as Carmy. They call him on the show. Now when it comes to Sydney, great actor. Her name is Ayo Edebiri, her real name if I'm not mistaken. Richie, great character that's always angry on the show basically, but has had a lot of character development. Not even going to try to say his real name. Tina had a great episode this season specifically. She's the Latina on the show. Great episode. I gotta say, this season to me compared to the season 2, both seasons are great. Season 2 has my favorite episode still, where they reunite with the family, the Christmas time. But I didn't like as much the ending of season 2 when Carmy gets stuck on the fridge, on the refrigerator, and then that's a very important day. The way they ended with him being stuck the whole time, thought it could have been better. But everything else from season 2 I liked a lot. I liked the dynamics with Claire. I think season 3 did it better. Compared to everything and the ending to be continued with the season 4 on the way, I did like the ending better for season 3 than season 2. Carmy has, right from the start of this show on season 3, he wants to change the way things are on the restaurant now that it's open and it's doing quote unquote relatively well. He's spending a lot of money. He's spending a lot of money on the ingredients, on the products. He's trying to get the best cheese, the best butter. It costs a lot of money where Uncle Jimmy is just having to throw so much money, not seeing no returns. He's starting to get mad and he's starting to question, why do we need to spend this much money on the butter, this much money on the cheese, this much money on all these stuff, and we're not seeing a return? And Carmy's like, it's the best one. And he's like, he's basically like, I don't care. I need to see a return on my investment at this point, because I'm draining all this money for nothing if it's not going to get me a return. So we see Richie. He comes back into the restaurant. Sid is there, Sydney, and Carmy is actually laying out how he wants to switch things up and actually put these non-conditionals. He said another word I can't remember right now. That is non-negotiable, not conditionals, but he had another word starting with C. And basically, he writes this down and he says these things have to be like this. We're going to have a new menu every single day. Sydney's like, what in the world are you thinking about? Richie's like, this is non-negotiables. It was non-negotiables, I think. Sydney's like, this is crazy too. But then Carmy tells her, we're going to get that star. And she was like, weren't you saying this star was a fluke? Like it's a fraud? He's like, no, we're going to get this star. It means a lot. And we're going to do it the right way. What he thinks is the right way. So they're basically right there having this argument about the non-negotiables. Richie is the one that gets very fired up because he's like, I want to make my non-negotiables at the same time. Why do I have to follow yours? Why does it have to be just Carmy? Carmy's like, it has to be this way. They change the menu every day. This is tougher because keep in mind, Carmy comes into the show season 3. He's already switched up the menu and switched things up that Sydney already had. So Sydney's like, but you're changing my recipe basically. She then accepts it. But this is important because it goes to show Sydney feels like her output, her input into the part of the restaurant isn't being felt as much. However, Carmy thinks he's doing the right thing because he's trying to like quote unquote teach her as he has more experience. But at the same time, she starts to feel left out. And this is very important because Sydney receives an offer for about $80K, if I'm not mistaken, by some other person from the other restaurants that used to be on the show whenever they would go to other places. And it's actually more money than what she has on The Bear, which I think is about $70K, if I'm not mistaken. But Carmy actually offers her that episode where they're talking about the menu. He actually offers her to be part owner, basically like partner sharing of the whole thing, The Bear. He had a specific word for it, but basically he gave her a DocuSign, an e-DocuSign electronically, where a contract is going to be for her to be part owner basically. And it's important because she has to make this decision and she never tells. She tries and tries, but she never tells Carmy that she has this other offer. So a lot of the parts of the episode for her, she's struggling to tell or not. because she feels like she has this bond with these people here, and she might let them down if she doesn't actually go with them. But at the same time, she is struggling, and she starts to cry and crash out basically and go outside on one of the last episodes where they're having fun and going back home and eating, because she starts to realize, I don't know what to do, and I can't really tell if I like this place more, if I should go to a new place more stable. A lot of things happen here. They go to the funeral for Marcus, because his mother dies in season 2 at the end. But I think the best episode, one of the best episodes, has to be the Tina episode. We get the backstory as to how she goes into the beef, how she gets to know everybody. The beef, if you don't know, is how the original restaurant was called. Now they're the Bear. And she went through a lot. She didn't know how to apply first online for jobs. She had to apply. Nobody was paying attention. Even the jobs that were available, she goes in person to see what's happening, and they tell them they already did take somebody. So she gets mad, and I've had this happen too, where she starts to realize, wait, these openings online say they're available and they're actually closed already. Somebody was already taken for the job. She gets pissed, and then she goes to the person who's not even paying attention to her, looking at her like, fuck you. Because how you leave this job opening when it's already taken, and you basically give people hope that they could get this job. The guy's like, wow, I'm shocked. It's like some young kid, some young guy. And basically it's crazy to see how youth sometimes could be the other way around too. But in this case, the youth is not even paying attention to somebody right here who's talking to them in front, trying to actually have a conversation. Person was just in a computer like, oh, they took the job, and she's like, you know what, fuck you, because you made me waste my time. So she applies so many times on LinkedIn, so many places. Indeed, I think was there too. I think the great part about this episode from her is that her man in the show is actually her man in real life. So it was very natural to see how they actually cared for each other. And he's like, I'm gonna get this promotion, we're gonna do well even if you don't have a job. He's been waiting for that promotion for years. That's what she even says. So it's crazy because she had a very good job, stable, and out of nowhere, just one day, they tell her she has to go. After years and years, over a decade, I think she was there. Crazy, crazy. So then she gets fired, and as she's trying to apply to these other jobs, she then actually gets to showcase that she has more experience on one of these positions that she got an interview for. He's like, I have over 10 years of experience. This is what's going to get me the job. And then the recruiter, which is a very young woman, tells her, do you have a college degree? Since Tina doesn't have a college degree, they don't get her for the job. And then Tina's like, but look at all the experience I have. It's crazy. Like, got so much experience, but I can't get the job because I don't have a college degree. Crazy, crazy. She's in shock. The recruiter's so normal about it. She's like, yeah, you could apply next time when you get a college degree or apply for something else. I think that's what she said. And Tina's basically like, how can you even tell me this? I got more experience on you than this. You don't want to get me because I don't have the college degree. Insane. She's about to crash out. She goes to the beef. She's never been there. To order a sandwich. And she starts crying as she sits down. She sees the whole dynamic. Richie over there giving free sandwiches. And at the same time, drinks and whatever. Everybody just ordering. It's a mess. Everybody's arguing, screaming type. So then she goes to sit down. She takes a bite. I don't even know if she really felt like it was disgusting or not. But she's so messed up in the head. She starts crying. She takes a bite and starts crying. I think she even spits it out a bit. Like she just puts it out of her mouth instead of chewing it and continue to eat. And Richie sees Richie and Carmy's brother. What was Carmy's brother's name? Is it Mike? Damn. Let me check really quick. Really quick. Carmy, brother, and the bear. I think it's Mike. So, yeah, it is Mike, I think. Mikey. So Mikey's right there talking to Richie. They're like, we can't have her crying here. We can't see the customers seeing somebody cry. she's still crying. She's listening to it, but she's still crying. So Mikey's like, okay, I'm going to talk to her. He walks up to her very slowly. And it's interesting because, how do I say, the dynamic is Mikey, you could tell what you know about the backstory from the previous seasons if you haven't watched. Mikey did suicide himself. I don't know if you can say that word here on YouTube, but that's what happened, right? So Mikey is going through a lot of stuff, but he keeps it in. And at the same time, right there, you see how Mikey, with everything that he's going through, he's just listening to her. And Tina's telling him how she can't get a job. All she wants to do is work, basically. And she's trying to go to places. Nobody pays attention. They wouldn't even look at me. I'm paraphrasing because she said it so much better. The wording here, the script for all of this on the entire season is amazing. And then the show. But she's just crying about the fact that she can't get a job anywhere, even with experience, without experience, because of the college degree. Online, she applies. It's not actually a real job still. Mikey's like listening, and they have a bond. At the same time, they start to realize as she's crying, she starts to laugh because Mikey's like, I gotta deal with these employees. This shit is a mess over here. The bathroom is still stinking. It doesn't work. I try to clean up everything. I gotta do everything by myself. I feel like I'm in a 24/7 rush. I'm going through a lot of stuff. And basically they have this bond where she's like, man, I just want to work. Excuse me. So Mikey's like, if you really want to work, basically, you could come over here, work with us. I'll give you that shot, the opportunity. She's like, yeah, I'll take it. And that's how basically they got there. It was much more emotional because you start to, very interesting. Mikey shows her right there the picture. I think it was of a flower or something in nature. And this is the exact same thing that Carmy has in the present time saved, and it was actually from Mikey. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it was in the show. So it's interesting how everything connects. And I really like this Tina episode. I think you see the backstory, how she gets to the bear, how she's now evolved as a character. Great episode. I thought I wasn't gonna like this episode, but it ends up being the one I talk about the most on this video, ironically. Great episode. Wow, the episode where Carmy's sister, she's about to give birth. She's about to go find some food that they asked for. Natalie, Sugar. Incredible episode, so tense. A lot of emotion because Carmy doesn't pick up the phone. Richie doesn't pick up the phone. She's in traffic. She has to go to the hospital. She has nobody there to help her. She's about to give birth. Sydney doesn't pick up the phone. She's calling everybody but the person she doesn't want to call, which she finally does. And it's the only one that picks up. Mom. Her mother, which, by the way, the actor from Halloween, I know her name, and Jamie Lee Curtis. I almost forgot it, but Jamie Lee Curtis, incredible performance. She's on my favorite episode of the entire series on season 2. Insane performance. She's really good on this show. You feel the stress whenever she's on the show that she portrays. Her character's just stressed out, like right there. Insane episode. She's trying to help Sugar, Natalie, Carmy's sister, and she's like, Mom, please, can you please shut the fuck up and be quiet for this moment? I want this moment to be peaceful, to be okay. And wow, the emotions that happen here because Jamie Lee Curtis, I forget her name as a mother, but the mother right here, she's like stressing Natalie out, but at the same time, she ends up being what helps her the most. Because then they get to a point where she's like, you really didn't want me here. I didn't even know about the baby, right? Natalie's like, I'm sorry, Mom, but I just didn't want this like this. I didn't like what you were going through. I didn't want you to be in the baby's life the way you were. But in the end, she's the one that helps her give birth. It's crazy because she starts to tell her to do this he noise. He, breathe, he. And Natalie just doesn't want to do it, but it starts to hurt so much. She ends up doing it, and it helps her out. It calms her out. The mother's just messing with her this whole time. Then she starts telling her about how Carmy was to give birth, how Mikey was to give birth. And then she tells her how beautiful it was to give birth to her, to Natalie. So Natalie's caught in emotion. I don't remember if it was Mikey or Carmy that was a pain in the ass to give birth. And she starts talking about it. It was Carmy, I think. Just talk about how he's horrible when it comes to giving birth. Everything was a mess. But wow, great episode. A lot of emotion, a lot of tension. Natalie wants to do this as how do you say, peaceful, not, there's this other word, like as natural as possible. So she doesn't want to take this thing that helps her like not have pain. But as she starts hearing everybody else screaming on the other rooms that are giving birth too, and her mother was thinking she was going to take the pain, and then she says, "No, you do whatever you want." Then after she hears the screams, she's like, "Okay, Mom, I'm gonna take the, let me just say painkiller, because I don't remember what it was. It's not an actual painkiller. It's something else." But it was great to just see how she was trying to avoid the mother, do everything opposite of the mother. And ironically, what helps her the most is what her mother tells her at the end. It's just how life is sometimes. Great episode. There's a lot here. Uncle Jimmy goes through a lot of stuff. You see much more of a tense communication between Uncle Jimmy and Carmy until the very end of this season, where they're finally talking about how he put his hopes in him. He hopes he can take this basically to success. The same way Marcus was telling him, "Carmy, take us there." After his mother died, after Marcus' mother died. But then Uncle Jimmy tells him that if things don't go well sooner after this review, he might have to shut the whole thing down, because the money's just draining. They're not winning. He even told Natalie that before the birth thing, where Natalie was working. Uncle Jimmy told her, "We need to change these numbers. We need something to stop happening. Stop spending so much money on these expensive cheeses, butters, and all this stuff, because all the money that keeps coming in, this place is full, it just goes out because of the spending." And Natalie's like, "I'm trying to work on this." Carmy tells her, "Well, change the numbers and something." They even get a human computer, which Uncle Jimmy brings, to fix things up better. But way after that, towards the end, Uncle Jimmy actually tells Carmy this might have to shut down. And what really happens is, when he's going into the car with the human computer, the guy that's helping out, he talks about what's actually happening, where he's shorting the market. If you don't know what shorting is, he's betting on the market to go down, if you want to use the word betting, or trading against the market, that it actually goes down, and he's getting destroyed on his position because the market is going up. And he didn't tell Carmy this, that he put his money actively on the market, the one he's using for the restaurant too. So he can't keep spending on a restaurant. This is what's going to destroy it, because it's not even up to the restaurant. Even if they do well, Uncle Jimmy could still lose a lot of what he has left because of the market. And it's tough. Doesn't tell Carmy. Then we get to the funeral episode. He goes with Sydney. And the restaurant is about to close. I forgot her name. You know what's her name? She has the restaurant in the Bear, and she's really, really, really good at acting, and she looks like she could be a chef in real life. Maybe she is. She is the one that had that restaurant where she went to get training about how to do the forks and everything else. And she's really, really good. Her restaurant is doing really, really well, but it's about to close. So the restaurant is about to close. So this is like the second funeral on the series. It's the funeral at the restaurant, where every second counts, is the label. Great, great episode, because it shows to Carmy that he wants to do things right, but he's not realizing, and he has so much respect for her as a chef, that lead chef. He's not realizing that she's doing things very differently from him. He's stressing out all the time, and yet she has a great restaurant like he wants to, with the stars and everything. But he was so focused on how that other guy treated him, that was always, always, always messing with him, Joe McHale, the chef, that he's always dreaming about, thinking about, if you want to say thinking. And he's in the funeral too for that restaurant from the lady chef, the woman. So he just keeps looking at him and staring at him, and he's like, damn, that guy's such an asshole, I gotta go talk to him. He hasn't said anything as everybody's talking, as Sydney's talking, a lot of chefs just having fun, remembering moments as chefs, as that restaurant is closing. And it turns out that she actually wants to close the restaurant because she wants a life that's just fun. She's worked so much years, 20 plus years, I think, right there strictly. She just wants to enjoy her life now. So as he's looking at that chef that messed up when he was training, when Carmy was training, as he keeps looking at him, he's like, this is the guy that just would always say, you're too slow, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, you're not good enough. And he's like, hey, as Joe is about to go to the bathroom, basically, like, I don't know if he said to you, remember me, something like, Joe is such an asshole. He says to him, I don't think about you at all. He didn't even remember him. Carmy's like, what the fuck? This guy doesn't even think about me at all, and I think about him all the time. He's like, you're such an asshole. And then Joe is like, that's why you're good at what you do now. Because crazy to say like that, because Carmy's like, you fucked me up, you messed me up, you stressed me out, I'm like this because of you. And then Joe's like, yeah, that's why you're good as good as you are now, because of me. So it's a crazy thing. And then he just goes to the bathroom, and Carmy's like fucked up in the head, like what just happened? So it's a great dynamic as he goes from him to talking to her, to the lady chef, the woman chef, can't remember her name, that's closing the restaurant. And you see the much more peaceful dynamic as he's talking to somebody that he respects as well, because he respects that Joel guy. It's Joel, not Joe, my bad. Alright, I'm back, my battery died, my bad. So that's what happens right there. And he goes to her, and they talk about she went through all the times, how she used to look as she went outside to the place they were that was very peaceful. They went to this place to just talk, right? She goes to him because he's actually outside, already in the place. And wait, was it backwards? One of them goes to the place either way, and somebody was already there. So they're just looking at the view, everything's peaceful. But she says how while she was working at this restaurant, building it up to be hers and just be a great restaurant, she would always look outside to see how they were constructing the building. I thought that was very great as a metaphor, because as she's working to get this to be a star restaurant, every second counts. And when she goes outside to be peaceful on this place, to see nature and the view, she would see a construction taking place as well. Every second counted there. The way they were constructing this building, it's already done now as they're watching it, as Carmy and her are watching it. But while she was doing the restaurant, it took years for that to happen, that building. Same way it took years for the restaurant, the same way it's going to take years for Carmy and Sydney if she's still on board. Very, very detailed, great thing. I love the way they did that funeral for the restaurant. Richie was very happy to be there one last time, talking about how he was essential part of the restaurant. You know, he was there for 4 days of training, which was funny. There's a lot on this show. Let me see, before I finish this, what was the name of that woman on the show? I forgot her name as a chef. In the Bear All actor's name. Let me see. Bruh, they don't have her because she's not always active. They don't put her in the first ones. Nah. Wow, what was her name? I forgot. Andrea Terry. That's what she is, Andrea Terry. Yep, Andrea Terry. So that's her name. I don't even know if they even call her Andrea. Andrea sounds more like her name. They never would say Andrea. Andrea. Yeah, she was great on this show. She's still great. I don't know if they're going to show her now that she's basically done with the restaurant. They showed some other chef that was helping Carmy back when he was training how to take the bones off the chicken and all that. Great too. Great series, great episodes. Season 3 I think is a great addition. Season 4 hopefully is as good. And that's about it for this one. Let me know what you think.